Hi, I'm Marcus Giron. I'm a part of Team T-Dub, and we're going to dive into my tennis equipment. So my tennis journey has been pretty long now. I remember my first racket when I was like 7 or 8 being a Babolat Pure Drive Plus. I remember Andy Roddick playing with it and I kind of wanted to have a big serve. But besides that, I didn't really know how much it weighed, what string tension I used. And kind of the longer that I played, the more that I got into it. When I was probably 15 or 16, I actually switched to the Wilson blade, and the rep then told me how different each racket is actually coming off the shelf. And so at that point, I started getting somebody to help at least make all my rackets the same weight. I didn't really add weight, but at that point, it was just to kind of make sure that all the rackets were the same. And then after that, when I went to college, is kind of when I got a little bit stronger, and the coaches there really helped me figure out, you know what, if you add a little bit of weight to the racket, you get more power on it, you get a little bit of actually more security, and actually the racket becomes more stable and more consistent through contact. And so after college, I actually joined Team T-Dub, and I was able to work with the mad scientist Paul at the time, and he really got me to dial in on my specs and what I really like. And I've still continued to kind of tinker with my weight to try to add a little bit more power and help my game. So for the last couple of years, I've been using the Yonex V-Core 95, and I love it. It's a 16 by 20, 95 square inch rack, and I find that it's a great balance of control, but also power and spin. Not that I play with a ton of spin, but it really helps me, and it's really helped my serve actually quite a bit. It gives me a lot of power, and I love the feel. And for string, I've been using the last 4 years or so, I've been using the Pro Stringer Blue Steel. My friend Ruben Statham, who owns Pro Stringer, he makes it, and it's, for me, I really get great feel with the ball. I have great control, and it helps me be accurate with my shots. And also through the years, I've actually been stringing my rackets looser and looser. It kind of seems to be the trend, especially with the all poly. I think people who use gut kind of still keep it pretty tight, but for me, it really depends on where I'm playing and what type of ball. Because each ball is actually quite different. I found that like a US Open is a heavier ball, like a head tour is pretty heavy. But like when we come here to the desert, it's a pen and it's a lighter ball. And so really kind of depending on what ball, how hot it is, how cold it is. If it's hot conditions, I'll string a little tighter. But these days on average, I'll string around 47 pounds, plus or minus 3 pounds, kind of depending on the conditions. I find that actually, even though it's looser and gives more power, it feels like the ball is on my strings for longer, which actually gives me more control and also more penetration. So I've been using K-Swiss for honestly probably the last 6 years, and I love their shoes. Throughout, all their lineups are great, but since last summer, pretty much a week before the Open, I've been using the K-Swiss Ultra Shot 3s. I find that they're a great balance of stability and also weight. You know, for me, movement is critical, and being confident moving out of the corners is very important, and I find that they do that really well. And they also last pretty well, to be honest. Especially when we're on tour, you're always playing on new courts where they're usually pretty gritty. And so typically for me, I need a new pair of shoes every 2 weeks. Whenever I go to tournaments, I like to travel with at least 2 per tournament to make sure, just in case something happens, I don't know, a shoelace breaks and I need to change middle of a match, or if we're in really hot, humid conditions and they kind of get a little gross with sweat, I'm able to change between sets. So one of the best investments that I've ever made actually was my dad getting a stringer when I was about 11 or 12, and since then I've been stringing my rackets whenever I'm back home. Unfortunately, I can't travel with it because it's a little too much, and so at these tournaments I have to use the stringers that they have. But whenever I'm home, I actually kind of find it therapeutic. It's just one of these things where you string it, takes 20 minutes, and you start and you finish. And I actually quite like how it feels. Thank you guys for watching. You can get my gear at tenniswarehouse.com.